All right. Hey, everyone. Going live today with Isra Garcia. We're going to add Isra here. Oh, hey, Eamon. What's going on? Yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit about how Isra and I met and about this incredible human. I love connecting people to the tools and wisdom I met along the way. Hey, Cassandra. Hey, So yeah, Isra's one of those people who's just blown my mind over the years from Burning Man onward. We're going to talk to him a little bit about that and about some tools and some rituals that we can incorporate. Let's wait for Isra to join here. I'll tell him that we're on. Sweet. Awesome. Yeah, so a little bit about Isra. I'll do a little background on Isra while he joins us. So Isra, he wrote, I think, something like 8 books, consulted 60 companies, done over 400 talks. He's a marketer, digital marketer, business advisor, speaker, and blogger. And we met in a funny way, but it was part of right before he did the Burning Man quest. But yeah, he works with global brands to bridge the gap between disruption and human relationships, and with clients like BlackBerry and MTV and Siemens and the who's who. But yeah, I think I've been amazed at how he's bridged this high performance life with also taking months off to do nothing and go to Zen monasteries and meditate. And this balance of, I think, being awake and also achieving a lot is incredible. Especially now as we cultivate strength and resilience and different items to feel on purpose and aligned. I think these kind of tools are critical. And Isra has definitely inspired me over the years. Let's just see where he's at, and we're gonna keep rocking. Yeah, so I think one of the things that inspired me most about Isra when we met, I was in a festival in Monegro, Spain. I was working a little bit with Burning Man at that time and traveling and seeing other Burning Man inspired festivals. So we went to the Burning Man of Spain, which was, I thought it was going to be like chill and rosé and nice house music. It was, one of the most intense festivals, Category 5 storm, electronic music. It was in the place where hundreds of thousands of people gathered for Monegro's festival. So we left. We left in our RV with a few friends, and we went to this small town in the Spanish coast. And there, a friend of ours who had been with us on the trip is like, I have a friend, Isra, and he's going to take incredible care of us. And so I got there, and there's a plate full of paella and incredible food, and we're on the beach and out of this grimy, crazy festival. And it was like one of the best things that I've experienced in my life, It was, just mind-blowing. And so, yeah, from then on, we became really good friends. Isra was a speaker at our first festival in Costa Rica called Echo. And that was mind-blowing experience of Burning Man meets TED meets the Costa Rican jungle. And then when we went to Burning Man together, Isra does Ironmans and all these crazy challenges. That's why I call him the superhuman. So Isra decided not just to go to Burning Man, but to do a quest to raise money for a music school in South Africa. So it was pretty crazy. He does this quest where he bikes from San Francisco, swims Lake Tahoe, and runs into Burning Man. And I've gone to Burning Man a number of times. I've never seen anyone do that. And they raised money to build this music school in Langa, South Africa. And so being able to do things like Burning Man quests, consulting companies while having a blog and speaking gigs and all of these things, I was like, man, this guy is, he's something. And so yeah, over the years, from work to partying to fun to inspiration, we've done a lot of cool things together. And also a shared passion in philosophy and a few other items. So hold on, let me just get Isra into the room here. Give me 1 second. Let's see where Isra is. Let's go, Isra. Yeah, and I think there we go. There's Isra. Here. live. Hey, Isra. What's up, my
Hey
bro?
Ed, how you doing?
Very good, very good. There we are. Awesome. How are you
Is that
today?
okay, or do you prefer like this? So
No,
better
that
like
was
this, right?
perfect. Yeah, I think
Okay.
you're sacrifice. Great. Thank you, man. Hey, everybody. So glad to see all these awesome people. Isra, I was just giving a little bit of background on how we met. I told everyone about you and kind of your background in marketing and in ultra productivity and Iron Manning. I spoke about the Burning Man quest
Okay.
when you biked and ran and swam Lake Tahoe to get to Burning Man. That was epic. But yeah, man, I'm really grateful to chat with you today.
My pleasure, man. Anytime, anything, yes to all.
Yes, Dal. Where are you now? You're in Spain?
Yes, I'm in Spain right now. I'm in Valencia. I was going to travel to Miami because I'm doing some projects there. But before the COVID-19 thing, all got locked down. Luckily, because it was quite before I went to travel. So,
Right on. Right on.
mm.
Well,
And
we
now
are.
here in Valencia is all good.
Yeah, Nat, I like very few people I could see doing examples of quarantine productivity like you. I think in this time you've produced more courses and workshops and interviews than I've seen anyone do.
Yeah, man, it's been really interesting because I think I've been training all my life for moments like this. Then is when all your deep work, you know, comes to the surface,
Yeah,
and then like I saw it clearly. Instead of stepping back, I saw that that was the moment to stepping ahead and forward and pushing more than ever. So I launched 42 workshops, 44,
wow.
44 workshops. I wrote a book in 4 weeks, which is my next book. Someone is saying that they cannot listen us.
Oh,
You
okay.
listen to me?
I can hear you. Does everybody else hear
Okay.
Isra? If
You hear
some,
me?
yeah, maybe it's just one person who couldn't hear.
Ah, so I wrote a book in 4 weeks. Is my next book about modern stoicism, and then yeah, I did the interviews. I work more than ever. I think I never worked so hard, but if for me, it feels like this quarantine,
Yeah.
this quarantine is been like 1 year. I feel like it's been 1 year, so it makes me alive.
Yeah, and I notice you do that. You take times to self quarantine even pre-COVID, and you take times to explore and
Yeah.
do what you got to do.
So yeah, when quarantine comes, you don't feel weird because it's what you do every day. There is a saying, Marcus Aurelius say that retreat, the best retreat you can get in is in the retreat into yourself.
Hmm.
So I've been following this. In fact, in the middle of the COVID, I created a retreat in my own house.
I love that.
So I did it for 7 days. I unplugged
Yeah.
everything, and I
Yeah.
was with myself as I was in a retreat. It was interesting, and it was really unleashing.
Yeah. I'm sure a lot came out.
Yeah, man. Yeah, yeah. And then I was doing at the same time I was doing the experiment of the macro dosing. So
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
lot of a lot of it came out.
Yeah. A lot of light work, shadow work, all of it. Yeah. It's the
Yeah.
journey. I think that's the part that I think is very interesting is also being able to go in these biorhythms of when we go inward and then when we go out and produce and create and give our art, our learnings, our gift to the world. And that's what I think, like if someone looks at you from a distance, they're like, oh my God, this guy's either running an Ironman or releasing a workshop every day. But it's really not. It's this careful, slow, methodical work. I remember you sent me the article on micro habits, micro productivity. That, yeah, looking back, it looks like this huge mountain of work, but really it's constant dedication to little bits and also unplugging when you need, which is epic.
I you saying that I remember when I was studying everything. I think is the laws of the laws of management, or the invisible laws. I read it when I was, I think before I was starting my professional career, that it said, you know, you don't let anybody see how strong you work, how hard you work.
Yeah.
I got some of this, but and then I created my own Bloody Mary, and it was like, you work, but you say perfectly. I mean, you work more than you work less than people think, but more than people think. So it's
Yeah.
just, it's that kind of paradox, because you
Yeah.
work every day on small tasks, which at the end of the month turns into 20 projects,
Yeah.
while somebody that is working in just one single task gets stuck because your attention span. Now, the attention span in 2020, 2019, 20
Yeah.
is 6 months, 6 seconds for a person, and a fish is 9 seconds.
So we have a similar attention span to the fish.
Yeah, the fish has a bigger span attention than us, and we try to focus on tasks for 1 hour,
Yeah.
which is impossible.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter what your focus is, no matter what your concentration capacity is, you are getting interrupted every 6 seconds. You know, and I like being in flow, but have you measured what's your flow span? Like, just people talks about trends of
Yeah.
paths, flow, focus, mystic state. But have you experimented with it? And
Right.
what's the question? No. So don't fuck up with us. you
Yeah.
know, and don't, and it's just a matter of scientific method, experiment, draw your conclusion, validate learning, observations, and
Yeah.
then you conclude, because it will change to you, and for me, it will be different. Your focus and your capacity of attention will be different than mine. The span will be shorter, longer. But is that, William Blake said so.
Yeah.
Experimenting is
Yep.
the most important method of knowledge.
Experimentation and self-observation. Yeah, with all the, we both were philosophy nuts with all the Stoics and everything, but yeah, with all of that, they said, look, go try this for yourself. Even with all the spiritual stuff, I've lived in Costa Rica for 12 years now, and you see all these philosophies and ideas, and it's not that any of them are wrong, but until you try it and experiment with it, you can't know if it's bullshit or not. You can't know if it's bullshit for you or not. Maybe it's great for everyone else. And then the other thing is the practical application. If you don't have the tools, that's why I'm crazy always with I got my Spanish journal now, but, if you don't have the tools to track all of these things, or the tools to at least look at yourself in the morning once a week to say, hey, am I doing this shit? Am I actually acting good towards my neighbor? Am I actually practicing any of these things? That's at the end sometimes a huge gap between what we read and what we actually execute and deliver in our life. So yeah, I think it's something interesting to notice. I love that you said that in terms of about the experience of it and the experiments, because I think you treat life like I've seen some people treat companies. You're rapidly prototyping systems for yourself to share with others, companies, programs, but it's all creation, which I love, and it's failing first. I think on your Instagram bio, it says all these things about projects, and then it says number of times I failed, infinite.
Yeah, it's just yeah. When I did that, it's just, I let my actions speak instead of me. I let the result of what I do every day. You know how I measure what I do, with the impact like people like you is having in the world, with the impact like people I'm working with, or I train, or I consult, they are making in the world. This is how I measure my success. What's the people that I work with or work with me or I team up with is doing in the world. And then all I just, I don't want to be, we name experiences and we cannot name it. An experience is something you just live, and we name it. I'm happy. If you are saying you are happy, you are not, because you are thinking you are happy.
Right.
Yeah, you go the same with work. I'm marketer. What people is obsessed to say what they is, because once you can tag it and categorize it and then you save. But I think that's part of trying, experiment, go with yourself, dance with the edges,
Mm. Dance
and
with
then
I love that.
yeah, and then you discover what you really are, and what you really are is nothing, and
Mm.
at the end, and at the same time is everything.
Yeah.
But you have to have the guts and the courage to go far beyond what society thinks is normal, to see all of this. And like, we name things that they cannot be named, and when you name it, you create that illusion. This called ego, because it's just an illusion. It doesn't exist. Ego is the enemy. It's not the enemy. It's not the enemy, silly. You are the enemy,
Yeah.
because there's no ego. So how can it be the enemy?
Right. And by the way,
And
sometimes people talk about that once they've had their like psychedelic awakening or whatever, and
yeah,
they felt their ego death and the nothingness. They call it the void and going into nothing, but it's really that part that scares them is the reality, unfortunately or fortunately, you know.
which is there is nothing. So if I cannot be I, what I am, what am I?
Yeah.
Nothing. But people just get so fucking scared that they don't even want to think about it, because it just takes you in a infinite void.
Right. Yeah.
It's,
Which is, by the
which is
way,
life.
yeah, it's hard to have, it's funny to have this conversation with you, who's also one understands that this is nothing, this is a dream, and you're awake in your dream, because we're obviously talking about it now. But you also have the, I don't know how you call it, the motivation, the willpower to do so much, knowing that other side. Because I feel like, yeah, even I was talking to someone this weekend. I had a very hard time in the jungle to disconnect and do nothing. I wanted to create, work on my journal project, and I just disconnected and I did nothing. And I was telling my friend Marcus, I said, Marcus, I see myself, I'm working a little bit on this ability to let go and do nothing. It's interesting work. And he goes, maybe or not. And I go, wow, or not. Like, you don't have to be doing all this work and this personal development from the place of, I want to be my best Maslow self. I have to get there. There's nothing to fucking do. You don't have to do any of it. I do it because I really enjoy feeling great, achieving things, expressing, creating. But I also remember from like American schools, this idea that you have to go to college, you have to do this, you have to get your MBA, you have to, and it's this constant race in life. And when I stopped racing, I was like, wow, there's nothing. There's nothing I have to do, nowhere I have to be. And then from that place, all of this creation sprung up. So it sounds like a little bit of a paradox, but I wanted to talk a little bit about that because you've experienced a little bit of nothingness lately and experiments in doing nothing. How does that balance out with achieving a whole fucking lot,
Yesterday I did a 3 hour meditation, a 3 straight hour meditation with 40 people online. Yeah. And we were sitting for 3 hours,
Yeah.
one shot. And, today I have a bit of headache, and, and I know why. It's because the work is being so intense, so intense. So I went out and, hi Vivian, I went out and I went to the beach, and
Yeah.
yesterday was like a really chaotic day. And and on the beach, the sea was, you know, rough,
Mhm.
rough. And then I was walking, and was nobody, because the day before Saturday, the beach was full. I live in the beach. Here is in Valencia, and it was full of people, crowded. even with the COVID thing. So yeah.
Mhm.
And then I went to the beach and was nobody, and the sea was rough. And as I was looking at the sea, so rough, you know what I was thinking is, that's my sea. That's
Mm.
the sea I want to. That's the sea I want to navigate. But I don't need nobody looking at me. It's just my soul demands this. My spirit is that sea, because I'm here to navigate no matter what. And you know, when you're talking, when you are navigating in a rough sea, no, when you are navigating in a calm sea, because everyone can navigate in a calm sea, but
Yeah.
almost everyone can do it in a rough sea, and less people even can see a rough sea and say, I want this.
Right.
But I want this with no ego. I want this because I know I'm made from it.
Yeah.
This made me.
Yeah.
So there is something I've learned recently, and is, you don't you don't you don't get freedom when you decide or when you choose. Krishnamurti said so about the choiceless effort. So the real freedom comes when you don't have to choose.
Mm.
When you just decide because that's your value system, creates an impulse. Let's call it instinct. Let's call it, vital movement. Let's call it brain signal, whatever. But then I think, I think with this, how I do it like this, when I know I have to stop, I stop. When I know I have to follow, I stop. I did during 20 days, one of my last experiments, doing the things I hate as I love them for 20 days.
Well, I
And
love your.
like, it just, it pushed me so much that
Yeah.
then you create a kind of resilience, but you create not only not only mental fortitude, but also in the spirit, also in your
Yeah.
psyche, right? And I think people is obsessed with balance, but they got it wrong. People is obsessed with finding balance. Find your, a diet, balance your
Yeah.
diet, balance your exercise, balance your life choices, balance your wife or your husband, balance your
Yeah.
work. But you got it wrong. How can you find the balance if you are not exploring the edges continuously,
Yeah.
jumping from edge to edge? Because it's not, there is no point to go to the 200% edge if you don't go there to zero, and then you see 200 from the zero perspective. And then when you go to 200, something interesting happens. That 200 expands, and
Yeah.
there is more than 200, 400. Then you go to 400, and then you see zero. You go to zero, and then zero expands, less, minus 50. And then you get jumping from edges to edges. Then you can get what your balance is.
Yeah. I
But
think
meanwhile,
the other day my mom said that to me, because I remember, like, a lot of teachers, any good teacher loves when I'm off balance because they know I'm exploring an extreme, either positive, negative, love, pain, it doesn't matter, just to really feel it and go into the full depth of it. And my mom said to me the other day about work, about balance and stability in work, and I was like, Mom, I haven't had stability since the day I became an entrepreneur, which was the first day I showed up in the work space. And this concept of change being the only constant, has always stuck with me. And resilience is being able to navigate that ocean, that change. I remember I was at Vida, like, unpacking in our retreat center this room, and there was a sticky note, Isra style, like a little sticky note that one of our hosts, you met her, Meg Gardner. You remember Meg?
yes,
Meg
Meg,
wrote that.
beautiful
Either way,
person.
it was Meg's room, and there was a post-it note, and it said, "Smooth seas never made a good sailor." And I said,
Amen.
amen. Like, we've all been through both the positive and the hard times, but all of that hard times to me isn't negative. It's the resilience builder. It's the way I've chosen to live with change. And it's kind of like jumping out of an airplane and the parachute's not working, but instead of hitting the ground disappears. So you're free falling, you're freaking the fuck out, but eventually you realize the free fall is still, you're there. Like there's nothing, you know.
Brother, what I discovered recently is just I worry in the times of fortune because is there, is only there, is only when fortune goes your way,
Yeah.
when you can develop a magnanimity
Right.
spirit, a magnanimous spirit, which is greatness of spirit in times of crisis. You cannot train your spirit when you are in crisis. You have to endure
Yeah.
when you are in crisis. But in times of fortune, this is when I work the most. When everything goes perfectly, when everything is smooth, then is when I worry in a good sense so now is the time for train. Because then when you get the chance, when something comes and hit you, doesn't hit you because you were ready for that, because you prepare yourself in the times of crisis to get ready for that.
Yeah.
Because that, and this is what you say, like if you are in a rough situation and you put yourself, for me is stoicism teach you this really well. Go on. When I did the 50-day experiments living as an stoic, I still sleep in the ground.
Yeah.
5 days a week I sleep in the ground. 2 days a week I sleep in the bed. And I don't think I have more problems in the back or I'm good. So because I train my mind to not be comfortable, and when I'm comfortable, I enjoy it. But
Mm.
it's just train yourself. We should live as if we should live as if we were training on everyday mode for our lives, for
Right.
every day. It's everyday training mode
Yeah. And
every
testing
day.
that comfort zone, testing that edge. Yeah.
Train, 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 train everything, because that's the training what makes you harder, resilient, stronger, you know, powerful, like equanimous, like magnanimous. It's just, everything, every good capacity, you won't develop it unless you train for that.
By the way, I see Rodolfo joined the live. He gave me a training early this year to train in doing nothing. First of all, I've never asked this many questions to somebody about doing nothing and how to train to do nothing, how to train the mind. Like I did meditation, many exercises of following the breath, following a mantra, visualization. Doing nothing, I was like, how do I train to do nothing? Also training to relax, to turn off, to melt into whatever. And it was really hard. Like I asked questions, what do you do when a thought comes? Okay, you let it pass. Do you meditate? Do you turn, no, you don't meditate. That's doing something. And so
Hmm.
I also think training in some of the other side of things, not just high performance training of gym and running or, reading and business and this and that, but also training in meditation, training in doing nothing, training in all these other techniques that allows our spirit to be resilient, not just our mind. I love that you said that because there's two resiliences. There's the one here, which knows I'm doing my business and knows I'm safe where I'm living, maybe, knows all these things, but the spirit resilience, it feels like you're
That's
feeding your soul.
that's the one.
Yeah.
Um, there is a practice I do a lot. In fact, I did an experiment that it was 20 days being in complete stillness for 1 hour, and I do a lot. And it, for me, is the most powerful thing. The most powerful thing I do is stillness. I don't meditate, I don't move. And then the other day I did it for 2 hours with 100 people in an online workshop. Well, it wasn't a workshop. We
Yeah.
just were still for 2 hours. Man,
Yes.
you were tripping your balls off.
What?
You were tripping your balls off
Yeah.
because when your body. What I discovered in the experiment in 20 days doing it for 1 hour every day, what I discovered in the experiment is when you start not moving, when your body physically don't move, then step by step, little by little, your mind start going slow too.
Mm.
And then when your mind starts going slow, your emotions going to start slow too. And then you start seeing more in a more clearer way your soul. And then your soul start popping out. And then you got that connection. For me, I've been, I'm a long-term meditator already. So
Yeah.
I got that. And I've been doing Vipassanas. I love meditate. I meditate every day, 2 hours, whatever.
Yeah.
But for me, stillness is the most powerful thing I ever discovered. In fact, I want to go for a 24 hours stillness day. But
Wow.
that's something I want to explore when I go to Japan.
Yeah.
Or at least I want to do 5. I want to go, micro, 5, 10, 15, 20,
Right.
20 hours.
Yeah, I could do 10, 20
Stillness.
minutes. Yeah.
Stillness. But anyway, everyone who is watching this, 10 minutes,
Yeah.
5 minutes. Find 5 times a day where you get on stillness, stand still for 5 minutes. 5 times, 5 minutes. You won't believe
Mm-hmm.
what you discover, what you will see, and all the tranquility and the serenity you will gain. At the end is that. I mean, I love to, I want to do something higher than a Ultraman. It's 4 days. But now I know that without training, I can do it. Because if I have that focus
Right.
on, not my mind, because, that's what you say. High performance is not, it's not the physics. It's
Yeah.
it's the combination, the holistic thing. And it's funny because now I feel more ready than ever for everything
Hmm.
and for everything, even death.
Yeah.
It's
By
just
the way, yeah, the Stoics talked about that momentus morti, the constant reminder
momentum,
of death.
momentum.
Yeah, I feel like I always put it away, but now I've been really looking at it and not in a fear or any kind of state, just really looking at it lovingly, and embracing it and yeah, all sides of it, even the parts that don't feel great right now, just sitting with it. And it's yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful part of the stillness because yeah.
Stillness teaches you so much. I mean, I agree with you and Rodolfo, do nothing. And there is something, maybe we can go together when I'm in the other side. There is something, I know a shaman in Mexico, she works in a mountain and
Mhm.
she takes you to the mountain and she creates like a circle and you cannot move from that
Mhm.
circle in 2 days. Super interesting.
That's Vision
Super
Quest, or what
interesting.
did they call that? Something.
No, no. It's just they call it the mountain. It's just a woman,
Yeah.
it puts you in the mountain. You go one day without food. It's like you have like 5 days. And I met her in Colombia. So that's the power of doing nothing because you start seeing because you don't get to see right now because you are in so many things at the same time.
By the way, the Buddha didn't have all these beautiful texts that we had right now. He just sat under a tree for 10 days. That's what I love too. Like, I love reading, I love all this stuff. But when you said the experience, that's what it is. It's going to sit for 2 days without a book, without a teacher, and life will give you everything you need.
Bro, Buddha nailed it. He's the one who nailed it. I don't know anybody who nailed it more than Buddha.
Yeah.
Because he saw it clearly. There is suffering and there is pleasure. So where you landed at the middle, equanimity, right?
Right.
And you say something that is what I believe is my life philosophy. You don't need to read so many books. You don't need to listen so many podcasts. You don't need to find so many mentors. You are your best book. You are your best shaman. You are your best mentor, your best manager, your best friend, your best lover. But only you don't want to see it, and you are not willing. The question is not if you are ready. The question is, are you willing to?
Right.
Right? Just sitting with yourself, staying with yourself. In that moment, Edward, I don't want to read so much. I don't, because if the more I read, the more I get intoxicated.
Yeah,
The
100%.
more the more you know, I don't know what phase we are, what stage we are in the COVID thing. My friends and my mom has to tell me that I can go out from my home
Right, right.
because I don't know it. I don't want to know it. You
Same.
know,
Yeah,
if Godzilla crush the city, I will know.
yeah,
No, Godzilla will appear and will crush the city. Okay, but you know, you don't need so many information. I don't want as less information as I can because then you get to the insight,
yeah,
the experience. Because at the end, the moments we create are the experience that define us.
yeah. And the experience of our life. Yeah,
It's not the experiencer living the experience. No, it's the experience itself. It's not the thinker thinking the experience.
yeah.
This is the example of I am happy. That wait, you are happy or you are right?
Hmm.
But you cannot, you know, when you ask this to the one person, gets crazy because you
Yeah,
didn't even pay attention to that because it's the experience and it's the thought, no the experiencer. The experiencer talking about the experience of the thinker thinking the thought.
yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
It's also that I think there's a nugget in there that's important, which is that understanding our responsibility in creating our experience through everything, and just through being, it's really such a powerful thing. If I learned it as a kid that I'm creating everything in my life, the hardship for lessons, the good stuff, man, you could take a very different track. If you go really far, I mean, I think it was either in Jed McKenna or Disappearance of the Universe, where, technically all of it down to Buddha and down to everything is part of your dream, and it one makes you understand the magnificence of you, the dreamer, and also the reality that what do you want to create and how quickly do you want that reality to appear? It's fucking crazy. I mean, you have to pull off some band-aids, sure, societal norms, certain things people are going to look at very strange, but it's not to go live in a monastery. If Jed was saying, if you're living in a good dream, man, fucking enjoy the dream. Be awake in it, but enjoy the hell out of it, and be
And for enjoying, you say the word at the beginning of the interview, and this is why I like, you know, chatting with you so much, and creating with you, doing business with you, starting something with you because you are a creator and I'm a creator too. So the most magnificent thing that a person can do in their life is create. You know, create a painting, create a podcast, create a book, create a baby. You know, you have to create.
yeah,
The creation is the biggest gift we all have. And we don't create because we think, let's follow what Tony Robbins said. I love Tony Robbins. I even going to interview him, but
hmm,
he's Tony Robbins. You cannot be another Tony Robbins
right,
because there is already one. Create create your
yeah,
things. Don't follow. So you know, I love Wim Hof. I love Wim. I interviewed him for my podcast. He's
yeah,
such an amazing guy.
yeah,
But yeah, but you know, everybody's just following his technique, and that's it. And I think it's powerful. I think it's life changing. I live it. I've been with him, with their team, you know. But that's what he did. He
yeah,
created something for the humanity. What you are going to create, what you are going to live here. To just create. When people you are so scared for creation, and creation is what at the end gives you freedom and gives you
yeah.
fulfillment.
By the way, I remember I asked you because I'm new to the whole online stuff and interviews and all these things, and I was starting some Zoom classes for journaling, and I wanted to know how you do the workshops and the online. And I was like, I asked you a few questions. I was like, Isra, how do you do this and this? And you're like, and I was like, you charge for that and this part, and you're like, I don't fucking know. I'm just trying it. This is post COVID. We're doing this for the first time, and I just saw you doing it, and I was like, okay, just like alchemy, like unless you try it and figure out what your formula is, it's not gonna fucking work. And also with stuff like Wim Hof, I love that too because I might do something like that, and then now in my breathing practice, a couple times a week, I'll incorporate something I learned from Wim or from Breathwave, from Robin, Clemens, and all these tools. I'm like, great, what's going to be my breath work? What's going to be my this work or that work? But again, it's all recycling and recreating and then birthing something new that's me. Even in my yoga and in my other stuff, if I'm not with my teacher, with Rick, practicing Duros, I do my own version of Duros, and I also incorporate a little Tai Chi in there at the end because I'm a crazy lunatic.
But this is
Yeah.
this is at the end what fills you, what makes you feel good. I mean,
Right.
it's just we all have a ton of knowledge, but it's just to pick some big knowledge and then integrate, like in what you have, in what you are. And we are all unique. We are all a miracle. There was a study in the London school, in the London
Yeah.
college,
London
that
School.
say that London school, yeah, and that says that the chances that we were born is that having rolling a dice with more than 4,000 sides, and the 4,000 sides get, and you get the 4,000 times at the time.
Yeah.
So, it's impossible. So the possibility that you are where you are right now, being who you are, doing what you are doing, are close to none. And then here you are complaining, blaming,
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
But it's what it is.
Yeah, even suffering on the personal growth side, I just see like how much I'm like, fuck, there's time when I'm like, okay, nothing to heal. I'm perfect as I am. I love myself as I am. Anything that life brings me through experience, I will heal naturally or grow or whatever, but there's no like huge project of healing some damages and wounds and ancestral. God, at the end of the day, be present. Life will give you enough opportunities for all of it.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Well, Marcus Aurelius say, "What stands in the way becomes the way."
Yeah, I like that.
It's one of my most favorite quotes I ever read, because it's so super powerful. The way is the way, and
Yeah,
if something stands in the way, it becomes the way.
becomes the way.
And any path is the path.
Yeah.
You know,
It goes to the same place.
healing. Yeah, that's the interesting thing, that you even think that I'm not moving, but you are moving faster than ever, because you are not having all these mental, like limits.
Yeah.
You have that blockade, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I was watching Midnight Gospel, that cartoon on Netflix. It's I watch very
Mm-hmm.
little TV, but I watch this on Netflix because it's some of the strongest spiritual stuff I've seen in a while. But it's also like, look, in all these reincarnations of this one character, it's like reliving this experience is fucking crazy. The good stuff, the bad stuff, like you see that from where you started to where you are now, even without doing anything, life presents so much in that process that will take you into an evolution. So just, releasing and letting go control or all these things, like relaxing into your truth. I used to read them like, okay, relax into my truth. Bueno, gracias. But now just seeing into it, I'm like, holy shit, you could literally relax into all of it. And it's going to happen for you. It doesn't mean don't do anything. You have to engage life. You have to live it. But there's no extra work that has to be done. It's just be there. Do it.
It's usually we pretend I think you're right. No, I think no, you're right. It's just, we pretend to, in the moment we say, I want to, I need to,
Yeah.
I have to, or I'm planning to, or let's say I want to be enlightened. Huh? This is a funny thing. I want to be enlightened. Who says that you are? Who says that you are not? You are not.
Right.
So same practice says. Practice for enlightenment, and enlightenment for practice. You are already enlightened, but not at the moment that you say you want to be, because you establish a desire.
Right.
And when you decide something, you're gonna suffer.
So, by the way, so many of the manifestation people don't talk about that because everyone wants this, wants a Ferrari. As soon as you want, you're separating the actuality from that, from being real.
You you create that duality.
Yeah,
That's the biggest illness in our lives.
yeah,
That separating the I from the experience, or like Alan Watts talk about this like crystal clear. Is I think he nailed it too.
yeah.
Um,
Uh-huh. Go ahead, sorry.
no, that's fine.
Yeah, and I was saying also letting go of how things will take form. I remember when we met, when you did your Burning Man quest, and we were at Burning Man and all this stuff, we had all these ideas, and I see how many of them have actually, seeds have become small trees and are now growing, and we can start to look at the fruits of those trees. But I also remember I had this idea of live the possibility, just these extreme examples of people living life to the fullest. And I was like, oh, this is going to be this. This is going to be a website that looks like this. And then for years I forgot about it. Now I'm launching this alternative living thing with tiny houses and people really who are looking for an alternative solution these times. And the websites live the possibility. I didn't know what it would be used for. I didn't know how it would take form. But when the project appeared, I was like, wow, this is really an opportunity for people to live. I was like, oh, this is something I thought about, so many years ago with Isra in a different way. But I'm like, when you let go of how things will look, how things will be, maybe some businesses were unaligned and have to close. You just constantly prototyping and letting see what emerges, but also patience. Like you said, we're achieving so
Mm,
much. It's crazy the pace that most of us are doing, compared to 50 years ago and they didn't have certain, you know, things. I mean, we're creating it at godly rates. And if that's the thing that God wants or the creator wants, just to see a reflection of creation, man, so many of us are doing it, and enlightened already, and etc., awake to what's going on. So, yeah, there's a part of me that always looks at that too, just to, when a coach tells you like, don't beat yourself up or something, I'm like, wow, I want a constant like life reminder of like, hey, bro, you got this,
you did it well.
Yeah.
It's just like nowadays you have to decide really quick, or not decide. It's just act. If something is not good for you, just act. If you need to get eliminate somebody from your life, do it, because that things will kill you.
Yeah.
Because there is not, life is short if you don't know how to live it. But I believe now life is long if you know how to live it, or make a good use of it. And that, this is the way, because you and I we separated one from each other for almost 2 years. We didn't talk. And then one day we got in contact. I explained you where I was. You explained where you were. And now we partner. We're doing partner. We're doing
Yeah.
a partnership. We creating a really exciting project. We're launching something big. We are gonna go all in. I'm gonna move to the United States and probably Costa Rica. You know,
Yeah, I see that.
that, and that's because now is the moment. Because you said it, we
Yeah.
created the space that need to be created,
Yeah.
and then we just let it happen, and then it happened. Maybe it wouldn't happen that way, but it happened. So now it's happening that way. So that's the if you at the end is radical acceptance. You just accept whatever it comes, and then surrender to the experience, which is so hard, because you're thinking too much. But there is a book to everyone who is listening and watching. There is a book called Radical Acceptance, de Tara Brach.
Yeah.
She
Wow.
is one of the biggest, or the most phenomenal meditators. I have the chance to interview him next fall
Hmm.
for a podcast, and I've been, listening their guided meditations. This book is super powerful because it gives you tools
Right.
for working on this radical acceptance. And at the end, the four, which in the method I work with, is a holistic high performance. In the spiritual part, I think there are four stages. The one is awakening. The second one is acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
The third one is surrender. And the fourth one and last one is just love.
Mm-hmm.
And then so every stage, every level has its own demon,
Yeah. Yeah, like the video
right?
game. Uh-huh.
And every level has its own demons. So you have to face it to, go to the last stage, which is unconditional love. Everything is love. Everything. When I get into an argument with my mom, this is love. When somebody, attack me, this is love. Even if it's lack of love, but
Right.
it's love.
Still love. That was
It,
so well said.
like
If it's lack of love, it is still love.
the other day, I was like a small, flying thing. I
Mm-hmm.
was, in my toilet, the flying thing got in the toilet, and I even took my hand in the whatever in the
Yeah,
toilet to
to
take
save
this
the
living
love.
thing, and I throw it away, and I was crushed. I
Yeah.
was, did I do that? I never did something like this.
Yeah.
For me, it was a bigger act of love that, loving somebody,
Yeah.
because
It's
it's
a
that
dialogue.
small things exactly.
Yeah. With your life, with
Exactly.
everything in your life. Yeah.
Because if you can see that,
Yeah. They asked Ramdas how he meditates, and he sat back in his chair, and the smile crossed his face, and a tear started to come down his eye. And I get goosebumps because it's immediately feeling pure love, immediately feeling union, not some bliss state, but really feeling it. And I, even as I say it, I get a little teary because you understand, like, that's it. It's just, and you were saying stillness, etc. That's what at the end it gets to for me is just, wow, I am this. I
think about it. Think about this, Edward. I want to do it when I got 40. When I'm 40, I want to do it. But think about this. Think of you going for 1 year without being Edward Seidelman. So Edward Seidelman goes in a quest and, you know, gets off the grid for 1 year without being Edward Seidelman.
Hmm.
What will happen then? What would you find then?
Wow.
That's a question I've been pondering for at least 2 years.
I love that. That's fucking crazy. Okay, now I have a challenge for when I'm 40. Man, wow.
So
Yeah,
you, if
completely.
you if you want if you want that, if you want to see it, if you want to live it, that's a good living the possibility,
Yeah, by the way.
because you will get rid of everything,
Yeah.
and the last thing, even beyond death, beyond death, is your own self.
Hmm.
If you can take your own self like this, and strip it
Yep.
and throw it, or even not throw it, just put it aside
Yep.
and live life outside your own self.
Yeah.
I
Man,
think
that's why
something will.
I think that's why we enjoyed things like Burning Man a lot too, because you see the founder of Google in a costume the whole time, not having to be him. We're not saying as far in the spiritual sense as you're saying, but yeah, being able to eliminate that self. Jed McKenna had this spiritual autologous tool, with kind of like what you were saying, but you do it on paper where you put beliefs that you have. And he said almost anybody, if you spend about 2 to 3 years devoted to, because you can't unlearn something and you can't forget things, so you have to disprove beliefs to unlearn. So he goes over 2 to 3 years. If you go through your beliefs one by one, eliminating money is the root of happiness, this, I need this for external love, you'll get down to something that is the core nugget. A lot of times people get depressed after that because there's nothing, and it's like the scene in the Matrix when it's gray, and they're like, "Fuck, I didn't really want this."
But yeah, and the thing is, everybody thinks that at the end, there is this amazing, heaven, happiness, angels,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, but I don't want. I'm not gonna say it so straight. So I'm gonna ask a question. What if at the end there is nothing?
Right.
I always been asking, because sometimes you cannot be so pretentious to say that question. So I always, when somebody, like I always ask, what if there is nothing? And people is not ready to admit it.
Right.
So that's a sign. That's a sign that you don't want to see what is
Yeah.
at the other edge.
That's why
Because
I wish more
if
people talked about that. Yeah, because
if you if
everyone's
you
racing towards it.
if you are not ready to see both sides as this with the same equanimity,
Right.
you are not ready to see it. Well, in fact, you won't see it.
Yep. It's this race towards enlightenment, like I was saying earlier, high school, college, this, it's also with personal growth. It's like, oh, I want to be enlightened. I want to go to mystery schools. I want to have so many friends who want to learn the secrets of the universe. Man, read Hermetica, read Kabbalion, maybe one more book, Jed McKenna's Theory of Everything. You'll have all the things, but at the end of the day, his point is, if that happens, okay, but it's not a desirable state. To be awakened
You
to
want
freedom is much
you
better.
want to exactly you want to be awakened. Take a bike
Yeah,
from Hollywood to Burning Man,
yeah,
just by yourself with a bag and nothing else. Then
yeah.
you get something there because you will get with yourself into the most unbelievable journey you can ever. You want to be go and walk the Camino of Santiago. By the way, we can do it together.
Oh, I would. That would be awesome quest.
Do you
Love.
know who I interview? Kamal Ravikant.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's a really interesting writer. I interviewed for last podcast, and he told me that he was explaining me about the Camino de Santiago, and I decided, I'm gonna do it. So if you want, we
Okay.
can do it.
I would like to do that. That's a challenge. That's
Let's do it this year,
let's do it. I love
at
that.
the end of the year or at the beginning of the year. Yeah, let's
As
do it.
time allows with
Or
these
or, or,
crazy
or
things.
even or even when there is good weather. Maybe in the
Yeah.
in the spring. In the spring, I will leave it with me. I will let you know.
Awesome. Just remember,
I
I'm a
think it could
Jewish
be.
kid from New York, but I'll get I'll get Israelified. By the way, just because I see the Instagram live might end in a few minutes, and I wanted to just let people know because Vivian said curious what the project was about, but one about our project, two about anything you have coming up, and I know we could keep doing these talks for hours, and we will in different formats and sharing. It's such a freaking pleasure, man. But I wanted to also share with people what's going on up ahead with you and with us and with everything.
Well, now I'm launching the biggest project of the year, which is a big launch, the second edition, second season of the Ultra Productivity Method, which is an online program, really powerful. The first year, 70 people joined in, and the impact ratio was 98%. And we're launching a big campaign this year. So I'm already launching it in the Ultra Productivity Month. The 2nd of July, I'm doing a masterclass and a free training to anyone who wants to participate. There is a link in my bio. Um, but then the project you and I will launching, which will be the second at the same importance, is gonna be the project I've been working since 2015, which is the holistic high performance method, which is focused on the four human potential dimensions: physical, spiritual, emotional, and intellectual. So Ed and I and, Big Rob, maybe Mike and Leanne, we're going to launch, first we're going to launch a big, and a powerful online program, online training program. And then we're going to start with retreats all over America and perhaps Costa Rica and perhaps other countries. And then we'll have the consulting, then we'll have the trainings. There's a really powerful project, and I'm so blessed that you're gonna be my partner, because I cannot think anybody else of doing this with, because you had that sensitivity, you had that soul, you had that desire, that drive, that friendship, that uh, system value, you know, value system. Sorry, you have all these that becomes somebody that I trust, down to the earth and to the infinite and beyond. So they will be launching this maybe in October. Coming up in September, there will be my next book. Modern Stoicism still needs to be defined, the title. I'm gonna self-publish this time. This is the first time I'm gonna self-publish. This is my ninth book.
By the way, we have
Um,
7 seconds. We have
what?
7 seconds till it cuts us
Okay.
off.
And